Hey guys, I'm back for another video, and today I'm gonna talk about Hytale again, and already I have a third ideas video. As of recording this, the second one only came out a few days ago, but I guess there's a lot of stuff that I thought about. Anyway, I would say about half this list is actually suggested by people on the ThirtyVirus botnet Discord, so thank you guys for that. Really appreciate the ideas. I do think they would be an amazing addition to the game. My first suggestion in this episode is automation using NPCs, paying them, having magical golems, automation using magic. Just like from a video I posted a little while ago, I was talking about how the replacement for redstone should be a steampunk or magic-based system, or some combination of both. If you want to move something, you'd have a bunch of pipes with air in it, and then it would push out the air through the pipes, and then that would do whatever your machine does. Be kind of neat. Or you'd be able to pay NPCs to do work for you. Or a third option would be using magic. So you'd create a golem from some rocks, and the magic in the golem would allow it to work as a, quote, robot. And my second point, I'm just going to get straight into it, is another thing from that video. And this one's really neat. It is multi-block structures that can be created by the player, and the entire thing acts like an entity. Let's use a simple example like Tetris pieces. So you take a bunch of blocks and then you can orient them in the shape of a Tetris piece, and then you would use some sort of magic or some other adhesive maybe, and then it would suddenly turn into a multi-block structure. So if you were to push it, the whole thing would move instead of just the one block. And maybe you could do physics on it, so maybe if an explosion happened, the entire thing would move, as if it was some sort of mob or entity or vehicle or something. So then you could take that concept even further and have automation-like devices on top of a mobile cart type thing. So maybe you would have a magical bow that fired when it sees an enemy, but then it is put on a cart and is able to roll around, and it would magically be able to follow enemies and shoot them. How cool would that be? Or you can get a bit more ridiculous, so maybe you'd be able to make your house into a multi-block structure, and then put a bunch of balloons on top of it, and treat it like the movie Up. For the next suggestion, we have Alchemy. So, it is already confirmed that there's going to be alchemy and potions in this game, but I think they should do an overhaul. We haven't seen like anything to do with the alchemy system in the game, so for all we know, this type of stuff is already implemented. But for the potion system, I would want some really wacky potions that do some really crazy things. So not like your standard Minecraft potion where it just kind of like gives you an effect for a little bit and then fades away. It's like really boring. First off, being able to actually brew your own potions in a cauldron and be able to pull potions from it, right, in a bottle. And you'd be able to gather ingredients, so maybe there'd be certain plants, pieces of animals, like Eye of the Newt, and but you'd take certain herbs, you would take certain body parts from animals, you would take like a whole bunch of random things and make crazy potions that do things. And I think an inspiration for what the potion should do should come from Harry Potter. How freaking neat would it be if you had things like a shrinking potion, a growth potion, a flying potion, polyjuice potion, or like a disguise potion? You'd be able to turn into different mobs or different NPCs. A luck potion would be pretty neat. Not like the one that Minecraft had for a very short time that did nothing. I mean a luck potion as if you were Domino from Deadpool 2, where you could just be doing whatever you want, and anything that's in your favor will just randomly happen. You're in a chase, somebody's chasing you down, they're attacking you, and you really, really desperately need them to get off your back. And then they trip over a rock and fall, and it gives you the chance to escape. So something funny like that. It'd also be kind of cool if you can make random potions from just, like, doing alchemy without knowing what you're doing. So you might accidentally create a potion that's either really powerful or really, like, deadly. Maybe it'll just end up being poison, or maybe it'll make you explode, or make you, like, blind temporarily or something like that. Or maybe a sleeping potion. Going along that same theme, I think charming items, which is pretty much better enchanting, should be a thing. Again, using Harry Potter as an example, something like an infinite storage pouch, a cloak of invisibility, port keys, so you'd, like, pick up an item and it just teleports you somewhere. A magic letter that would audibly speak a message to somebody once it arrives. The Deluminator is an interesting one. And if you guys don't know what the Deluminator does in Harry Potter, like, you click a button and it, like, takes all the light away from something like a light bulb or a fire. Like, it steals the light and stores it inside. And then when you click it again, you can, like, place the fire or light back. Having enchanted places would be cool as well. So maybe you can have a place like the Room of Requirement, where it's a room in the Castle of Hogwarts that only shows up to those that need it. Another cool one would be like the Black House. So like Sirius Black and that family, they could all, like how their house is hidden in between two houses, and like using a spell, the two buildings like come apart and then the other house just like comes in. Or maybe you could have something like the Night Bus, where it just like, it's invisible to muggles or like people that don't have a certain magical skill. And then it's just like, it's double-decker in size, but all the momentum inside is like negated. Something like that. Just a whole bunch of like enchanted like vehicles and like buildings and places. And then of course little items would be really neat. And it could go really well with the steampunk theme. So maybe you'd have a horse carriage that draws itself without a horse because magic. And of course the Marauders map is a cool example too. It's like a map of the school, but it like shows footprints and like the name of the person walking around the building. So the next one would be a way to simulate leveling up in skills as well as perks with gear only. So I mentioned this in my Is Hytale an RPG video, but it's already been confirmed that leveling up skills, perks, none of that is planned to be in Hytale as of the last time I DM'd Simon. Could he have changed his mind since then? Maybe, but from what I heard, it's going to be more like Minecraft, where all of your progression in the game is based off of skill. And that doesn't entirely mean that you can't have progression. Perfect example of a game that did amazing progression is Subnautica. You can make it through the entire game. Your inherent character traits does not change. You are still a human. You still take a certain amount of damage without like a suit on. You only swim so fast, but as you progress in the game, you get things like fins to swim faster. You get oxygen tanks of varying size so you can stay underwater longer. You get better vehicles so you can go even deeper, and so you can store oxygen inside of it. You can get a gun. You get like things like that where you're still becoming more powerful of a character, but you're inherently no different without your gear. And I think that's the route that Hytale should take. Weapon, armor, equipment that upgrades as you go on. Maybe you find better stuff as you progress in the game's story. Things like that would be great. And as I said multiple times, I absolutely love Fallout New Vegas for its skill trees and its perks, and something like where it's gear based would definitely be a lot more difficult to emulate that sort of feeling of leveling up and giving yourself a skill. But I do think it is possible. Server supporting software like BungieCord, Bycraft, and Plugman would be pretty neat. In the last video, I already talked about database integration would be pretty good, but I think to build on the server side stuff, I realized as a server network owner, in the future, I have no idea how we're going to do BungieCord without just straight up making our own software that relays people between servers. I'm not the type of person that knows how to do networking stuff. So maybe one of the devs on the Blockshot team already knows how to do it, but I think it might be a cool idea if something like that was built in, where you could like have multiple things connected together, multiple servers. So maybe built into the server software would be an option, and it would be like, hey, is this a hub server? And if it is a hub server, then please supply all of the servers that are connected to this hub server. Things like that would be pretty cool. And again, I already talked about the database integration. That would be nice too. And you just straight up, like as if it was a built-in like bucket command, it's like database, you'd make a database object and then it would just be database.store. Basically like YML, except it'd be an actual database. So it would just be like, okay, in this spot, I would like to insert this value of this format. So like YAML, not YML, which is built in to CraftBucket and Spigot. So it'd be cool if there was a YAML-like thing in Hytale, but of course would also work with databases. One thing that I didn't even think about until like literally today is an item storing solution that doesn't involve nearly killing your map's performance if you want to have like a bajillion items. So if anyone has seen my Minecraft Survival Island series with Edward, you'll see that we have a massive storage room full of chests. We have about, I think it's something like 8 double chests per item in the game, and there's like a million hoppers, not a million, and it kills performance. And the reason why we have so many hoppers and chests is because it's automatically sorting. So the storage system in the middle of our world automatically sorts any items you throw into it. And that's great and all, but it takes so much work. So much work from the game's perspective and from the builder's perspective that it's just such a hassle. And once you've built it, now you have to deal with like your entire world in that spot being like 30 frames a second, even if you have an i7 and a GTX 1080. Like, I'm fairly confident that even if it was difficult to make an item sorting storage machine in Hytale, I would imagine it would probably perform better simply because of the better engine, but still, an easier way to do that would be appreciated. The ME system comes to mind. That would be freaking amazing. Maybe having item pipes, which are basically hoppers, but they'd go vertical, which would be pretty neat. And even like a graphical way to show the items flowing through the pipes would be pretty cool. And again, that could play with the whole steampunk theme, because maybe you'd use steam to push the items through the pipes, or maybe you would use steam someplace else to decrease the pressure to then pull the items using a vacuum. I don't know, things like that would be really neat to be able to see items. Like, I remember the old Buildcraft, I think it was Buildcraft pipes, where you could just like pipe a bunch of items into some industrial craft machines, and it all was so cool. An inventory tweaks type of sorting mechanic would be really nice too. Being able to just sort a whole inventory with a single button click. And it'd be even cooler if you could do that by sorting multiple containers at once with one click. I actually implemented this functionality with a Minecraft plugin I wrote called Uber Items, and one of those items is the document of orders. So you'd right click on a bunch of chests, and then you would left click, and it would sort all the items between every inventory you clicked on, and it would just sort the whole thing as if it was one big inventory, and it would sort by item IDs. So something like that built into Hytale would be pretty freaking neat. If I can do it, the developers of Hytale can do it. To build on the transfer pipe idea, sorting pipes would be cool, auto crafting solutions would be cool. Just looking back at the ME system, I mean, a wireless terminal and like it'd be so cool with infinite range upgrades or something crazy like that. Okay, this is really cool. So for those of you that don't know, back in the Xbox days, I was a Halo nerd. So I loved to go into the Forge mode and make custom maps in Halo. So some stuff that I think Hytale could take inspiration from the Halo Forge mode would be things like pre-builts. So maybe there'd be some 3D modeled things that aren't necessarily made of blocks. Like, for example, archways, plane, not a plane as in like the vehicle, but a plane as in like a big flat thing that you could build walkways out of. Like, there'd be a bunch of pre-built things you could select from the creative menu to put down, and of course you'd be able to add your own using the model maker and texturing tools, obviously. Some other cool stuff that was from Halo, the Forge mode, would be something like the portals, which are really neat. The way the portals worked in Halo is that you could walk within the range of it, and you can actually change what the range of the portal is. So you can set the range to be like a whole like wall, and it's like an invisible wall, and the second you touch it, you get teleported. So that could be used for something like a checkpoint system. For example, I made a Raceway Map in Halo way back in the day with intentions for the Rooster Teeth team to play it. They never did. But it had a checkpoint system, which was really neat. And then the second they touched it, they would be teleported to the other side. And it conserved momentum, which is really cool. So something like that would be neat. And also, I think it'd be cool if there was an optional ability to be able to see through the portal, as if it was like a window to the other side, which would be nuts. Some other things from Forge mode that I think would be really cool would be, of course, vehicles, and the ability to make your own empty, small worlds right away in such a way that there's no other crap to go with it. So you'd create a void world, maybe you would set a skybox that was custom, maybe you set a background that was custom, and instead of being void, maybe it was just a big, like, field that's in the middle of the mountains or something, and you'd be able to build your map from there, and then it can control everything. So you'd be able to control the time of day, you'd be able to control the spawn rate of weapons. Maybe you could place weapons on the ground. You'd be able to place respawn points where players, when they die, they would respawn there. And then maybe to add on that, you can have a mob spawning point. For example, if you're doing a zombies type game mode, you can have zombies spawn at a mob spawn point. Maybe some game rules that would affect how the players in that world would be. Things like that would be really useful for building your own game modes, even between friends. If you know nothing about coding and you don't feel like getting involved with the model maker and the modding tools and the scripting, you'd still be able to set up like these custom matches, which would be pretty neat for you and your friends to play or fight or something in like a custom built world with a few settings tweaked and maybe a map that was built from a bunch of pre-builts that were built into the game or downloaded from some pack online. It'd be really cool. So in summary, if the Forge mode from Halo 3 and Halo Reach were implemented in a similar way in Hytale, that would be awesome. Companions that can fight with you and have creative ways to defeat enemies. So not only would it be cool to have your own pets, which I think we're guaranteed to get pets. I mean, there was a guy riding a horse, we saw a beagle, we saw chickens, so you could probably have all sorts of pets in Hytale, but it'd be really neat if they had things that made each and every type of companion unique. So let's say you had a golem as a pet or like a companion, then maybe to defeat an enemy it will stomp on them and crush them. And maybe if you had like an elf or like a really skilled bowman as the dude that goes with you on adventures, he'd go like Legolas on those people and he'd just freaking collateral through enemies and just be like awesome. And just like be super duper impressive instead of just being your standard bow shooting animation strafing AI that's like super duper boring. And then maybe a beagle would try to go for the ankles of the enemy and like distract them while you shoot at them or hit him with the staff or hit him over the head with a sword or something. So you get the point. I think it'd be really neat. And of course that they'd have their own inventories. Oh my god, please. Having a pack meal would be great. Just imagine having a golem as an ally and he could carry like 3 inventories worth of stuff. Oh. Now for the final suggestion, it is a really simple thing, but it is gamepad support. Being able to play Hytale with an Xbox controller would be kind of neat, especially if you're playing a gun-based game mode. Blockshot, links in the pinned comment if you want to join the Blockshot Discord. It is my official Hytale server network that's upcoming, and we've got like 40 developers and a storyline and maps planned and all this awesome stuff. Anyway, one bonus idea before this video ends, so we're going to have 11. How cool would it be so that fast travel in the game would be done via horse stables? So maybe instead of just having the ability to fast travel everywhere, which breaks immersion, what if you could fast travel? Well, first off, the fact that there is fast travel in the game is a suggestion, but maybe it would only be through certain places and it would cost money to, say, get a ride from someone on a horse, and it'd be like Uber. There's only certain places they could bring you to and from. Well, actually, there's only certain places where you can find them, but I guess you can tell them to bring you anywhere. But things like that would be really neat, so that it actually makes people think before they go on an adventure. It's like, do I have everything? Well, anyway, that is it for this video, guys. Leave a like down below if you enjoyed. Again, if you want to join the Blockshot Discord, then the link is in the description and the pinned comment. It is going to be guns in Hytale. It's going to be like team deathmatch, free-for-all, search and destroy, zombies mode, apocalypse survival. Oh, it's going to be amazing. And as I said, we have a very large and dedicated team of really skilled people already on it. There's a website and everything. It is just... And it, as of recording this, the team's only existed for a week, and we already have a fully working website, forum. We have a database set up for player statistics before the game's even made yet. That's how prepared we are. And we have people that are practicing in Craft Studio to design guns once the model maker comes out. So I think it's going to be freaking amazing. Well, anyway, that is it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.